Shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath. Great to be back. Last week I had a bad migraine. Wasn't feeling the greatest. So, we just postponed doing the live last week. And back again this week. All praise to the Most High. Lord's will. We can bring y'all a great lesson. We can all get things from. And learn from it and grow. That's all we can ask for.
Shalom, Israel. Grace and mercy from God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, be unto you. All praise to the Most High for all things. Always we do so in the name of His Son and by His Holy Ghost. First thing, before we get started, I just want to apologize because normally when we are out due to illness, I will post something about it. I forgot to last week.
That's probably on me.
Yeah, I mean,
short notice. I give real short notice.
Either way, it's my apologies. I still should have put it out there when I knew. But I do want to make sure everything's functioning properly. Either way, it's my apologies. I still should have put it out there when I knew. Okay, so we are good on YouTube. I want to check Facebook, make sure we're good there. And of course, direct the people to the page. Yeah, so it appears we're live. Yeah, so there we go. All right. So I'm gonna let the people know, direct them to your page. All right. All right. So I assume as we normally do, Isaiah 8 and 20.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right. The book of Isaiah, chapter 8 and verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
Right. There's no light in them if they speak not according to the law and to the testimony. Okay, and obviously, starting with Isaiah 8 and 20 is to the law and to the testimony. But let's go a little further with Proverbs and Psalms.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
Right. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light. We need that light shined to show where at in us there is darkness.
That's right.
All right, and that's exactly what we do when we go to the laws. Now, like it says right here, for the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light. All right, and we're trying to get to the light, obviously. All right, so by shining the light on ourselves, we see where we are dark, therefore needing reproofs of instruction. All right, we need to be reproved, we need to be showed and told out of His Word where at we fall short here and there, and here. Okay, so we can fix those things, we can get the leaven out. But anyways, how are we going to fully understand even what I was just saying about the law and commandment being a light to shine on ourselves in self-examination? Alright, to see where we fall short, to correct.
In the book of Psalms, chapter 111 and verse 10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do His commandments. His praise endureth forever.
A good understanding have all they that do His commandments. His praise endureth forever. Alright, so that's saying right there, the people who live keeping these commandments, the praise of those will never stop. AKA the reward will never cease to exist. It's always there. It's everlasting righteousness. All we got to do is find it. Okay? By searching out the law and the testimony. We got to search out the law and apply it to our lives. All right, like I said, a good understanding have all they that do His commandments. All right, find those commandments and then implement them in life. Okay, and that's the more you do that, the more you understand, and the more you're able to not only help yourself but all those around you.
Yeah, and if I may say so, I really like the analogy and the I suppose the depth, the explanation, the in-depth explanation of the light, right? Mm-hmm. And the light shining in the darkness to figure out where we are dark. So I just want to kind of expound on that a little bit. In John 3,
Yeah.
Because everybody knows John 3:16,
Right.
but I want to start with John 3:17.
Yes, sir.
Because a lot of people don't know all the context around John 3. So
Here, I can read it for you.
okay. But yeah, this is more about the light
John
versus
3.
darkness.
And verse 17.
Yeah, start with 17.
All right. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Right. So God didn't send his Son to, basically do what the flood did
Right,
and
exactly.
kill everybody. It was to bring a path of salvation to everyone. All right. Read.
He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already.
You see that right there? So if you believe on him, then you truly cannot be condemned because you're going to pattern your life after him.
Exactly.
Right? You're going to grow according to the Spirit. But if you don't believe, then there is no hope for you at all. Because all the prophets, from Moses all the way through to Malachi, prophesied of the new covenant, essentially, the New Testament. All right? Christ and his apostles. And, of course, John the Baptist as well that led to Christ. But, yeah, keep reading on that.
All right, because he had not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God.
Right, that's why you'd be condemned, because Christ come in the name of his Father. All right, read.
Right. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil.
Right, so if you don't accept the Son of God and his teachings, which are the commandments of God, then you're just evil, you're just wicked. Right. And the thing that he came to do was to point out the wickedness.
Right.
Was to say, hey, here's what y'all need to fix. Hey, I know it says that you should not kill your brother, but I'm telling you, if you're angry without a cause, you're still going to get judged.
Right.
Hey, I know it says you shall not commit adultery. I'm saying if you lust after another man's wife, that's enough to get you condemned.
Right.
All right.
You're headed down a wrong path.
Exactly. So, verse 20.
All right. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved.
Lest there should be reproofs of instruction.
Exactly.
For him to receive the way of life. All right? They don't want that.
Right.
The people want to stay in sin.
They don't want accountability.
That's right. They don't want accountability. Verse 21.
But he that doeth truth cometh to the light.
He that doeth truth. He that doeth truth. John 17:17 for the truth.
Yes, sir.
What is the truth according to the Bible?
All right. John 17 and verse 17. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth.
So, right. So this is a prayer that Christ is praying to the Almighty, right? Praying to the Most High. So he said, your word is truth. The word of God is the truth.
Right.
All right. So when you say he that doeth truth, he that doeth the word of God, as Christ said in Luke 4:4, every word of God.
Right.
He was quoting Moses when he said that. So that's all the whole Bible.
Right.
All right. So verse 21 here in John 3.
All right. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light.
So if you really keep the commandments of God, if you really keep the laws of God, you would come to Christ, you would have that light. All right, read.
That his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God.
And your works are going to speak for themselves. All right.
And that you're godly.
That's right. That's right.
All right, all praises for that.
Yeah, I didn't mean to derail it.
Oh, no, you ain't. You can't. You can't derail my lesson, bro. Especially by adding to it.
All praise to the Most High.
Right. All right. And once again, great way to bring that analogy into Scripture. Because obviously, I didn't make it up.
Right. That's right. Yeah, it's all, really all the prophets talked about it, but especially getting in the New Testament, you see the explanation of the light versus the darkness.
Right. And that spirit of holy truth.
That's right.
All right. And like I said, all they that do it truth. All right. If you love the truth, and there's this huge movement about truth seekers, people who's tired of being constantly lied to by those in power. All right. But to truly love the truth, that is to go all the way. All right. That's not just those that are in opposition to you and you exposing your enemy. That's not where truth stops. Truth exposes us all. All right, and we got to all be willing to accept what is seen in that light. All right, like we just read. All right, and then be able to admit where we fall short.
That's right.
What things that we are not the best at, not falling to certain temptation or overcoming certain old habits. Some people call them demons. It's things that we battle.
Yeah, and that's very heavy what you're saying there, because real truth. Because you talk about these truth seekers out here
right.
who just want to expose their enemies.
Exactly.
But real truth starts from within with self-examination, and real truth will lead you to God.
Exactly.
That's where it always goes to. It's from yourself to God.
All right. Well, from here, we'll go to let's see, our verse on Thanksgiving. We're gonna read this out of Isaiah. Yeah, Isaiah 65. Because what we got coming up this week, this last Thursday of every November. All right, where you see the highlighter right this one?
It didn't fall on the floor, did it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Was that right there next to it, a pin?
Yeah.
Okay. You probably left it in a page or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I don't feel it. Let's see it. Is it in there? No. Either way, sorry about that. But Isaiah 65 and verse 11. Alright. We'll get in just a second, but I was just going to say about Thursday being the day that nationalized holiday. It was made a national holiday under Abraham Lincoln. Alright, and that was very important, being under him and what he oversaw, being the emancipation where they took off the yoke of iron off of Israel. Alright, and notice that's the exact president and the exact same time where they instituted this national holiday of Thanksgiving, being thankful that you have gotten yourself a land that you stole straight up and down. Alright, and rape, robbed, killed, and tricked to get. Alright, and that's what is celebrated, whether it is known or not. Every last Thursday of every November, you get together, and the main portion of the meal usually is turkey and or ham, alright, which goes into other laws that they want to make sure we're breaking, alright, to thank God that land from you and your ancestors or your cousin's ancestors, your family being murdered and robbed. That's literally what Thanksgiving's all about. Alright, it's thanking the Lord that he has got Edom ruling Babylon now, this last time, and it is not the actual God of this Bible that they're thanking. It's the God of this world that they're grateful to. Alright, so let's get this here in Isaiah.
Isaiah 65 and verse 11?
Oh, yeah.
But ye are they that forsake the Lord, that forget my holy mountain, that prepare a table for that truth, and that furnish the drink offering unto that number.
Right. Alright, prepare a table for that troop. Alright, that soldier. Alright, they have lauded their reputation as pilgrims, but not ever really going into the conquering. There's a few that they mention, very slick and sly ways, like the Louisiana Purchase, and you got, what's his name, and how he got Florida. What was his name, the French explorer?
Ponce de Leon?
Or was French or Spanish?
I think he was Spaniard.
Yeah, Spanish.
But it was Ponce de Leon that
took Florida. Yeah. Alright, but these men came and they first learned from the people here of this land, alright, how to farm the land, what animals to watch out for, what to hunt, everything they could learn from a people that's native to the land when they first got here, to learn the navigation and the life of the land. Alright, so once they thought that they had that figured out, that's when the mass murder turned straight up to war began.
That's right. Like literally, because the Mayflower touched down in 1620, right? And by 1675, there came between the same people, between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag and the surrounding tribes in Massachusetts, King Philip's War. So literally, that 55-year period All right, that's all it took.
Right.
For them to learn what they wanted to learn.
Yep.
And then start slaughtering everybody.
Right. Almost literally.
Yeah. And now it was a war, I will say that.
Right.
So it wasn't just the Pilgrims slaughtering the Indians. It was also the Indians slaughtering the Pilgrims, because that's what war is.
Exactly.
But yeah, it literally just took 55 years for everything to go sour. Just in that particular instance, not just everywhere else, but in that particular instance. Yeah.
All right. From the Mayflower, or was that up around Massachusetts?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Plymouth Rock.
And the, that's strictly in the northeast region of America.
Yep.
All right, and you can read into the Mexican-American Wars and all the. They got the stories there if you just go look for them. All right, of who all they warred, what all tribes they turned against each other,
right.
And all the dirty ways, even all the way down to them being treaty breakers and breaking every treaty that they would make with every single tribe, all the way to the Seminoles. And then the Seminoles knew the reputation. They had watched this in action. All right, so, and there was the only ones who they didn't allow to break the treaty against them. All right, and the Seminoles, they went ahead and broke the treaty themselves when Esau was coming to break the treaty, if you read the story. Yeah. And, and then they gather around every year. Everybody fix big meals, go to the matriarch or the patriarch of the family's house and preside over it, pray over it, and, be grateful for what you've been given, what you didn't have to fight, rape, kill to get. All right, and that's what mindset going through public school will put you in. All right, to revere the men who came over here, who dealt so treacherously, rob, rape, murder, all right, and in such a backhanded way from a people who would have gave them and did give them anything they asked for. And showed them, like I said, showed them how to farm, hunt. I'm sure there was things they showed them with plants, medicines, everything. Being completely charitable to them, not having an evil suspicion whatsoever. All right? And then, of course, they can't help but be who the Lord made them to be.
Yeah. Do you have Psalm 55 on there?
Yeah.
On your list?
In a few minutes.
So yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah, so they tell this story about like Manhattan being sold for like beads or whatever. But the idea, when you actually listen to the quote unquote native perspective, the Gadite perspective of it, they did not view the land as something that could be owned. They did not view that's like the same thing as like trying to own the skies, the way that they put it to them.
Right.
So like they didn't sell the land; they just like welcomed people in.
Right.
Because like to them, land was something that you could not own.
Exactly.
It was something that, especially when it comes to like Appalachian tribes, they moved around a lot.
Right.
They were semi-nomadic.
Excuse me.
But yeah, we'll get back to it.
And like it would be like you're just saying about the sky. They seen it more as like a living thing, a creature. You can't own that, especially if you can't control it. All right, and it's a humongous country of land. So, that's why it was so foreign to them, and they was able to, Esau, not good liars or pretenders, whatever the case may be, but we had no hatred towards our brother whatsoever at that time in that day and age, in that stage where we was at, most of them at least, or they wouldn't have been so welcoming and showing and embraceful when they came. But we can read 12 right here too.
Okay, so I'll read 11 again.
Yeah.
Isaiah 65 verse 11. But ye are they that forsake the Lord, that forget my holy mountain, that prepare a table for that truth, and that furnish the drink offering unto that number. Therefore will I number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because when I called, ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not.
Right. All right. And the Lord's saying here, that's how we were and living up until the point where Esau began coming over here. All right. And we, year after year, moon after moon, chose to not do the things that the Lord delighted in,
That's right.
but to take on the mindset and the ways of the heathen, and making everything a god that has divination, that deserves and requires worship and or sacrifice 2 and 4. All right, everything, the sky, the sun, the rain, the stars, like everything we deified. The polytheism was rampant.
That's right.
Especially here in the tribes native to the Americas in particular. All right, and it says, because when I called, ye did not answer, and when I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. All right, and now the cycle has come back round. All right, to where now the Lord's trying to call out to Israel after we've been here oppressed and scattered and raised to think we're different people. The name of Israel was wiped out of remembrance, and now the Lord's allowing us to come back to remember. All right, and He's using His prophets to call out to everyone. All right, you cannot go on the internet and not see something about some Israelites today, and or you got to go out of your way to avoid it. I'll just say that. But now it's on us, and whether or not we're going to choose that evil and choose the things wherein the Lord delights not, especially whenever He's laid out clearly for us everything, but especially holy days.
That's right.
Especially holy days.
Yet people invent something, and because I read on the history about this last night, I went into this. It was propaganda from the beginning.
Exactly.
Something that was lies and propaganda from the beginning. And you choose that instead of doing God's days. Because here's what Christianity will do. They say, well, no, we ain't got to keep Hanukkah. We ain't got to keep Feast of Tabernacles.
Right.
Let's keep Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
Let's celebrate God in a way that He did not ordain us to.
Right. Oh, and then if you break down the history of it and how this holiday, quote unquote, came to be, and all the evil, the lies, the treachery, the bloodshed that they want to fix the Thanksgiving plate on top of, then it's no longer, we don't celebrate it for that. That's not why we get together. We just do it because it's when the family's off work and can get together. But you don't see how that was orchestrated, and how that is a literal built-in excuse by your enemy. That now you're trying to excuse you continuing to participate in the things that make God not protect you from your enemy. It's crazy.
It's
MK Ultra.
Yeah, because they say it's the celebration of the Pilgrim and the Indians coming together, right? But when you look at what the Wampanoags say, they say it's the National Day of Mourning. They don't even call it like a celebratory day. So really, who are you celebrating? Celebrating the Pilgrims overcoming the Indians.
Exactly. And stealing, taking the land, and now you're thankful that they did that. And you're complicit in the robbery and treachery. Exactly.
And see, that's become a big thing, especially when it comes to the Palestinians and them getting genocided.
Yep.
They say we're not complicit in genocide, yet you've been your whole life celebrating Thanksgiving complicit in the genocide of the Gadites.
Right.
That's how you know that we must be God's people, the so-called blacks, natives, and Latinos over here, because everybody's complicit in what's going on with us.
Exactly.
But nobody can be complicit with what's going on with the Palestinians.
Exactly. And definitely, and even right now in Somalia and other parts of Africa, the same things are happening.
Yeah.
But that's barely ever brought up. Yeah, Sudan.
Sudan and Congo, like there's a lot of different places.
Yeah, Libya is another one.
Yeah.
Where it's going wild right now. Mm-hmm. And genocide, where they're targeting people that are a certain ethnicity, all right, in order to take the land, the resources, the whatever, or just to move them on down, migrate them, cause forced migration. All right, and it's crazy, these terms that the oppressor comes up with to try to normalize their wicked, violent, bloody behavior.
Yeah,
Let's get this real quick.
Yeah, okay. Because you talking about the forced migration going on in Africa. You got deportation here in America. You got the Inquisitions in Europe throughout the Renaissance. So it's all different words for the same thing.
Right, and I thought you were talking about what they're instituting right now. Because they definitely are with ICE and everything that they got going on here in America right now. And then in Europe, it's a lot of the same about claiming they've been taken over by the Muslims and Arabs and stuff.
For sure, I've been saying that as well.
It's wild. But all these different ways, and like now it's a problem with immigration. Where did I say go to?
You didn't say anything yet. That's what I'm looking at.
Okay. I was about to get a script. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you were heading to like Ezekiel, heading that direction.
No, it was what did I just say a while ago made me think of that.
We were talking about the what's going on. How about how they're complicit in genocide?
Oh yeah, the bloody men.
Okay.
Yeah, Micah 2. All right, and how all of these things come to be, how all these wars start that lead to genocide. All right, and it's been like this from the beginning. All right. But there's the people who embody it more than ever today.
Yeah, so Micah 2?
Yeah.
All right, starting with 1?
Yeah.
Okay. The book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand.
Right, all right. Those that rule now, that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, they have these dinners. They start out as dinners, but we've all heard about the mansion parties that go later and later and later and later. And, you know, they all have a common goal. Whether or not they are following pleasures in the process, there's always talking shop going on, all right, in these meetings, in these get-togethers that they have, all right, to devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. And when it's morning time, they have the power, they rule, they got all the money, everybody, they got all the assistance they need and any and everything else they could possibly want. And then they put their plans into action, because right now they got the power to do so. All right, verse 2.
And they covet fields and take them by violence.
Right, all right. Venezuela, perfect example. All right, and even the ambassador was in an interview saying that Maduro is not just letting the U.S. hand him whatever and signing it. All right, basically just signing away the rights of everything, every resource in his country and the rights of his people and everything. And that he's sitting on the world's largest oil reserves, and he's not controlled by the United States. His name is James Story. He's the ambassador, or was, who literally said this recently in an interview. All right, but just because he will not sign it over to America, all the oil coming from the land of Venezuela, right? Just because he will not let another country just have it. Now he's evil, he's a dictator, he sells drugs, because for some reason that thinks they have the autonomy now to murder whoever they say has drugs, when that's never been a thing either. Right. But whatever.
Yeah, all those drugs coming from Venezuela. Who ever says anything about that?
Nobody's ever said that, because that's never been reality. And they're only saying that now because they think that gives them a rite of passage to people not being upset with them blowing up fisher boats. Right. All right, and it all goes back to this: they covet those oil reserves, and also they got other kinds of mines and things down there as well, as far as gold and silver, diamonds. That's right. You know, it's a very rich resource land.
Oh, absolutely. That land that was given to Asher, that's
right.
The prophecy that would be very resource rich.
Exactly.
Especially when it comes to oil and, like what you said, gold, diamonds, and things like that. Iron.
Right, metals.
Yes, precious metals. But yeah, that's why they give Machado, who is the resistance to Maduro, they give her the Nobel Peace Prize.
Exactly.
A resistance, a rebellion leader,
yes, exactly.
A Nobel Peace Prize?
Exactly.
Because they want her in power, because she is more friendly to American businesses.
Right, and there's been several channels on YouTube come out and expose that Nobel Peace Prize, going all the way back to the man that's named after, Nobel. Yeah. He also created dynamite.
That's right.
Who said right after using dynamite, of course, there's going to be peace everywhere. Nobody wants to get blowed up. He said after the dynamite, that's when the peace comes in. And it's always been for public relations. Always. All right. the most recent blatant example of this is when Barack Obama came into office to appease the Israelites that they ruling over during a financial crashing crisis where we figured out all these insurance companies, mortgage companies have been committing the worst fraud possible, and banks included, who's been taking people, they're supposed to be holding people's money for them, but they were taking it, investing in these fraudulent mortgages and all this other stuff, and then the bubble busted and there's no money now. So really the system was supposed to collapse then in 08, 09, but what happened, bills were signed and passed to where the Federal Reserve just replaced all that money and then some to all the banks, the insurance companies, the mortgages and all this. Yeah. Barack Obama oversaw that, oversaw America's non-revolution behind that, and was therefore given the Nobel Peace Prize. Alright, and it's always been a blatant slap in the face to anybody actually paying attention. And they literally couldn't give it to Trump because he's running around talking about 8 wars he stopped but can't name one. Because it's not real, okay? But that's another story for another day. But they covet fields and take them by violence. Alright, and ever since the end of World War II, alright, and it's fulfilling the prophecy of Revelation 13 where he did miracles, made fire rain down from heaven with the atomic bomb. Ever since then, during the time of Cold War, there's been all of these aggression, these foreign meddling wars been going on. Alright, all of Korea, Vietnam, everything you've had in Latin America, which has been nothing but a tumultuous place to be. Alright, for the last century almost now. And everything that they've gotten, they've taken by violence. Alright, and even now, and houses, and take them away. Look what's happening in the West Bank. In Gaza, they just blew them all up. And now talking about rebuilding what they call Rivieras?
Rivieras?
Rivieras, yes. And casinos.
Yeah.
Alright.
Micah 2 and verse 2. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
Right. Alright, something passed down. Even going all the way back to the end of World War II, and how a lot of those Jewish people moved in with the Palestinians living in the land. And then all of a sudden they come home from work one day, all their stuff put out and they're locked out. If they were nice enough to put their stuff out, they just literally took them away. And those were houses and families for generation. Alright, going all the way back to where, you know, the Lord allowed us to be out the land, and then a certain Ishmael started moving in. Alright.
Verse 3?
Yeah.
Therefore thus saith the Lord, Behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil.
Alright, the way that they do now with such entitlement that they have, and like the superiority just oozes from them. Alright, how they feel that they're better and they cannot be reproved. Alright, they're never wrong, never admit guilt or even contrition to say that they're sorry, they apologize for their appalling behavior. Alright, none of that. It's all haughty as it comes, and constantly looking down on everyone that they've so wickedly oppressed for oh so long. But yet they still walking around feeling like they are closer to God than the ones that they have ruled and oppressed to this day. Alright, and that goes into them being filled with pride.
Yeah, the American pride, proud to be an American.
There you go. It's built into the slogans.
Yep.
Alright.
Verse 4.
Yeah.
In that day shall one take up a parable against you, and lament with a doleful lamentation, and say, We be utterly spoiled. He hath changed the portion of my people. How hath he removed it from me? Turning away, he hath divided our fields.
Alright, and like they're realizing now, here in America, a lot of these people, alright, and it's caused a big division within certain factions, alright, about what these foreign countries have been allowed to do, and mainly in particular one. Alright? And like one of them just come out last week or the week before last. There's a ginormous real estate company based out of Israel that owns a lot of apartments and complex buildings in America. A huge majority of them. And a huge majority in Florida. And how they were bragging about raising the rent 24% a year. And like that's built into their business model. Whenever they purchase any area, they figure out who all can afford to pay rent at a double. And like it's just so predatory. And now all these people who loves America, still has hope for America, are realizing just how much that because of bribes and things of that nature, if not, compromise and had them compromised in ways, they have let, especially Israel, who's not even on paper an ally to the United States of America. They're not even allies on paper. All right, they're not in no faction together, no treaties with one another, none of that. But yet they run around talking about their greatest ally and the ways that they've completely sold their people down the river. All right, and now you turn on all these different videos or whatever you may be watching, and you see these people, now they're lamenting about that. That's just what popped right into my mind, about how much we have we've allowed the ones who rule over us to screw us raw and continue and continue and continue. All right.
Therefore thou shalt have none that shall cast a cord by lot in the congregation of the Lord.
Right. Thou shalt have none that shall cast a cord by lot in the congregation of the Lord. All right. And then from here, you read verse 6 too.
Prophesy ye not, say they, to them that prophesy. They shall not prophesy to them, that they shall not take shame.
Right, that's it. That goes back to they don't want you to reveal the truth, especially to them, so that you can reprove them, and Lord's will they be corrected. Alright? Everything they do, and yes, top of the list when it comes to everything they do to hide this shame is murder. And they have been murdering and killing and throwing in jail until they have been in jail so long they mysteriously die. Like people who's been coming out trying to reveal this and show their shame. But they do everything, even buying TikTok, and because they think that's going to save them now, instead of seeing where this is going. Like y'all have been, the world can see y'all now. Y'all can't just lie and they have to believe lies that you wrote in textbooks or that you say on mainstream media. All praise to the Most High. Now we have access to all forms of information at all times for now. And, there is no counter argument that they can win.
Yeah, knowledge is increased.
Right. And, yeah. I was thinking about reading 7 and 8, but we can move on. Alright, from there I got Deuteronomy 28 and 47. Alright, going back to why he would allow Esau to come over here, make all the peace deals and treaties, and then to break them, being a treacherous dealer, and passing out blankets with smallpox, and all these different plagues affect the tribes that were here to where it's they were able to conquer us straight up and down.
You said Deuteronomy 28 verse 47?
Yes, sir.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things.
Right, for the abundance of all things. The Lord promised not only to give us the earth, but everything on the earth. Alright? But we still would not even be happy about that, because we had to live a certain moral code and structure at all times by principles, by statutes and judgments. All right? And we looked at that as a burden, not as a blessing. All right, and you can read 48.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee.
Right, and this is one thing we don't go over a lot, but we should. All right, why is the Lord pointing out these specific traits? When it says, and the Lord shall send against thee in hunger. All right, why? Because we have a dietary law that he gave us to live by. You think our enemy's going to make sure we live by that dietary law? Or are they going to make sure we break that dietary law? Alright, and in thirst, same way. And that's going into Isaiah 55. All those that thirst and have no money, come, buy, drink. Alright? Meaning the living water coming from this. So now we got to pay them for a natural resource that covers most of the earth. Alright, and that's going all the way to the water bill. And in nakedness, why is he bringing up the clothes here? Alright, because we have dress codes. Okay, that he gave to us to live by, to set the example for the earth. But no, since we looked at that as a burden and something to be cast away from us, instead of a honor, a crown to put on, then therefore, now he's going to send our enemy against us, who's going to make it almost impossible for us to be able to keep his law. Alright, and in want of all things. Alright, and that goes down to learning each and every part of life. Alright, and how they made it outlawed. They would kill you if they caught slaves reading for years and years and years and years. Once again, alright, all those things there specifically are labeled, and like it says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Alright, until that you don't even want to go find the actual food you're supposed to eat, and the things you're supposed to thirst for, the clothes you're supposed to wear. You don't even consider those things anymore, because you're completely destroyed. Alright, that's whenever he will let us be emancipated. Alright, once again, going back to instituting Thanksgiving as a national holiday at the same time. Saying if hey, you're American, and if you're American, you gotta do Thanksgiving. And boy, did we, and have we been. Alright, and you can read down through at least 50.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth.
Right.
As swift as the eagle flieth.
Right, and that's now coming over here in the Mayflower and the other things. Alright. And Christopher Columbus first, using Esdras now. Alright, because they were bold and haughty enough to make a movie about it during the 1900s sometime.
Yeah.
It wasn't too old.
Yeah, the movie is called 1492.
1492. Alright, you know what year it was made?
I think it was like, is in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was either
Because
like
it does not,
mid
the
to late
clips I've
90s.
seen of it, it does not look like an old movie.
No, it's mid to late 90s.
But they showed that in the movie, alright, about Christopher Columbus reading that in Esdras and then taking that and running with it to the point to where but yet they also throw in the lie that he thought he was in India.
Right.
Like-
Even though he brought with him a Hebrew translator,
Exactly.
Luis de Torres, to translate Hebrew once he got over here,
Right.
but he didn't know where he was going or what people he was going to.
Oh, exactly. And when he got there, he thought he was on the other part of the earth. Yeah. See how just a tad bit of scrutiny, a tad bit of research, a tad bit of knowledge completely destroys the lives of our enemies. Alright, and that's what the Lord's looking for from all of us. Just a little bit of effort. Just give him a little bit, and he's going to take that and run with it.
If I could, because I do want to finish this in Deuteronomy 28, but
Yeah.
just because you mentioned the lies of the enemy.
Yeah.
Here in Deuteronomy 33 and verse 29, I got to bring this out, because we hardly ever bring this up. This is
Yeah,
good scripture.
true.
Deuteronomy 33 and verse 29. Happy art thou, Israel, who is like unto thee, O people, saved by the Lord.
Right.
The shield of thy help And who is the sword of thy excellency? And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. Right? So the salvation of God, part of that is him exposing the lies of the enemy.
Exactly. All right, and proving that all the things that, not just the fake gods that they've had you follow after, the vain customs that they put you in, but these people themselves are fake as they come. All right? All the way down to them and their personal lives and the lies they tell. All right? Everything done in the dark will come to the light.
That's right.
All right?
So back in Deuteronomy 28, verse 49.
Yeah.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Right. Who weren't speaking what we were speaking. All right? Like Ezekiel just mentioned, Christopher Columbus brought a Hebrew translator. All right, and also, same today. Netanyahu and certain of those from Israel will speak in some videos to some audiences in English, and then they have theirs where they speak in their Hebrew Yiddish, and they'll say literally opposing things. In English, they're saying this, and then Hebrew, he's saying the exact opposite. The most recent time that called up Bibi Netanyahu was the ceasefire with Trump at the beginning of October, where he went home and said, "Oh, this means nothing, for real. This is all public relations." Is what he told the Hebrew people in the Hebrew media, and he was not lying because they haven't stopped killing, not yet. And they supposedly officially ended the ceasefire, I think, last week, but that's all public relations. All that is. They are not stopping the plan that they enacted with the lame duck Biden midway through, and they knew how much Trump was going to be on their team, whether through mindset or compromise, either way. And they started that, and that give them 6 years for sure to do whatever they're going to do until, supposedly some other sheriff can come in town. But still. And the eagle, as swift as the eagle flieth, that's the Lord giving us a hint there. Alright, but this is what I want in 50 about how compassionate these people are or are not.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
So does that mean when they came, they was extra nice to the old people like they portray, and they all gather around the Indians and the Pilgrims doing their Thanksgiving, and is that what we just read there?
No.
Quite the opposite.
No, like you look at, because they even call it like a battle at Wounded Knee, but it was a massacre.
Right.
It was a massacre at Wounded Knee. And what happened there is there was, you had Crazy Horse, who was, I believe they were Lakotas, maybe they were Dakotas or Sioux or whichever, but there was a tribe in the Midwest. You had a battle with Crazy Horse was their leader, and you had Sitting Bull was the prophet who would advise him. Right? And he prophesied that they would win a big battle, so Crazy Horse went out there and defeated the U.S. cavalry at Little Bighorn. But then, of course, the U.S. cavalry was pissed.
Exactly.
They were bitter.
Right.
And hateful. So then they came and murdered all the women and children.
Right.
While the people were sleeping.
While the men was out here had just fought this battle at Little Bighorn.
Yeah.
They knew. So they sent another flank of men, band of soldiers, to get their families.
That's right.
And the same could be said today in a lot of these places, like the Sudan, like Gaza, where they want to call it a war, but it's against the captive people that's barely armed.
Yeah,
that's a massacre.
It's a massacre.
That is not a war, but they say that to confuse us.
Right.
It's all just to throw us off mentally.
Yep.
And to do magic tricks and to getting us to believe realities that's not reality.
Yeah, the fierce countenance.
Right.
They're not regarding the children, not regarding the elderly. They don't care about that.
Dude, they literally come out and said, those children that are starving in Gaza have pre-existing conditions.
Right.
How is that a win for them?
Right.
That they're targeting pre-existing condition children to starve.
Exactly.
But that's a win for them.
So yeah, they'll look at these deformed children and say, well, they were deformed before they started starving to death, before we withheld their resources.
Right. They had amputations before we were shooting off appendages.
Again, that does not help anything at all.
Dude.
In fact, it makes it worse.
Exactly. That's the Lord's making them fall into their own trap. They're trying to tell lies and to spread propaganda to make them not look like the genocidal maniacs that they are, that unless you're just Zionist to the core or compromised without belief, you are admitting now that these people are not right in the head. That is plain and clear to see, especially if you start looking at some of the Israeli society posts all over the internet. And I'm not talking about those in government and official positions. I'm just talking about the civilians. And they say worse stuff than the ones that lead them. And like all these people, it's a sadomasochist society. All right, they all get pleasure seeing pain from others, including having right to rape riots. Since the video come out, they put the woman who released the video. Only reason why she did that is to try to make it look like to the world that this investigation team that they put together to investigate some of the things happening there is legit, because so many other things had happened that was not brought to light. So she had to put this out. They have the video of the IDF soldiers taking a bound prisoner captive and sonic gang raping them. And after that was released, they hunted the woman down and prosecuted the woman who released that video. And they brought the soldiers on like their Good Morning Israel, unmasked, treating them like the victims. Not to mention, the civilians had riots to where they was going after the official buildings, the main government buildings, of the people trying to come after those IDF soldiers. All right, saying that they had, they're trying to violate their rights, literally, like they had the right to rape these people. And BB even come out and said this is the worst public relations attack against Israel that has ever happened while I've been Prime Minister.
That's the worst, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty,
this video
pretty
getting put out of the soldiers doing that to the prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was the worst public relations attack against them since the 90s when he became the minister in 1996.
Just vile.
Yes, and they're out and they say the quiet part out loud today, people. Like they're, on one hand, they're the worst liars who say the worst propaganda that could not be believed, even by people who want to believe it. And then on the other hand, they say the quiet part out loud. Like he's spiritually on a mission to do greater Israel. Like these are his words exactly. All while saying, we was attacked, this is self-defense. It goes back to coveting fields and taking them by violence.
Yeah, and double-minded.
Right.
Very unstable.
In all their ways. But also right here, like we just read, a nation of fierce countenance. They do not care. They don't see no difference between the eldest, the prime age and stage of health, and the babies. Yeah. There is no difference. They see them all as vermin.
Yeah.
And this is a quote.
And see, like normal people, right? I'm not even necessarily saying righteous or godly people, but like normal people will look at, like, say, men from the ages of like war age, you know what I'm saying, like 20 to 60 or whatever, and say like, okay, well, these men, we can go to battle with them, we can fight them, they're warriors or whatever the case may be. And then they'll look at like women, children, and elderly, oh, they're vulnerable, we'll leave them alone.
Exactly.
But these type of people, man, they look at the vulnerable and they say, well, that's easier for us to attack them.
Exactly. That's what I'm about to say. But yeah, exactly. They call it a wartime code of ethics. All right, these are the fancy words that they've come up with, it to where, like Ezekiel just explained there, any person with any sense of morality about them, any sense of real justice about them at all are going to see people like you talk about, men of war age, and know that is,
it's fair game.
a fair game. But the elderly, the sickly, the babies, the mothers, the women and children, off limits. That is cruel to do. There's nothing strategic about that, unless you're wanting to be seen as a vile murderer. Like, that's the only strategy you can get out of preying on the weakest of a population. It's like you're wanting to intimidate everybody. But even that is, a terrible strategy that you'll fall into. But anyways, from 50, we will read...
I'd like to read 51 as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll start with 50 again. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed.
Right.
Which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kine, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee.
Right. All right, so just like when Esau first come over here to the Americas, and just like coming out of World War II, and the land of Israel, all right, they were taken in to benefit from our things, the things that we had going on. All right, like it says here, he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed, until he's eat you out of a house and home.
Right.
Now you have nothing.
Right, specifically with the cattle, you had the buffalo.
Exactly.
That they wiped out, all right? But going into, especially with Thanksgiving, right? They come in, take the land, take all the resources, take the food from the land, and say, thank God.
Exactly.
Thank God we stole all this from you.
Exactly. Thank God we now control all this. All right, and then going back to which also shall not leave thee either corn. All right, all those Native Americans who they placed, or the so-called, placed on the reservations, they have no rights to no resources whatsoever.
That's right.
Especially if Esau knows about it. Just think of Killers of the Flower Moon. And there's also a movie just come out recently called Sarah's Oil. I seen a little ad for yesterday. Who was a freed slave who was part of some program where she got a house and a little bit of land coming out of slavery or whatever the case may be. And come to find out, the little house and land that she had was sitting on a ginormous oil rig. All right, and it's like the identical story to the Killers of the Flower Moon.
Right.
All right, and then this movie's called Sarah's Oil, and it's her story of, her having to fight off Edom for the rest of her life, all right, from the moment of finding that out. And it just came out recently, obviously, with no sort of fanfare, no nothing. I wouldn't known about it if I didn't come across a little article yesterday.
Okay. But yeah, going back to the Killers of the Flower Moon story, that's history that, with the Trail of Tears, what happened with the Gadites, especially Gadites and Reubenites to a certain extent, but not as much. But the Gadites that were forced out of, like the southern states, forced to move into Oklahoma, right? Because
migrate west.
Exactly, and that's your deportation.
Exactly.
Right? Get out of here and go somewhere else.
That's because they didn't control the west yet.
Yeah, exactly. And what they did have Oklahoma, they couldn't grow anything there, right? So Esau was like, "That's good for y'all. Y'all can stay there. Y'all can't do anything really until." Oil became a big thing, and then they found oil there, and then they went there and said, okay, you don't control that anymore. It's not Indian territory anymore.
Exactly.
Y'all get the hell up out of here.
Right. Dude, that's what I'm about to say. It was a wasteland, profitable for none whenever they sent Israel there. And Israel's there, living on the land, realize there's oil. We actually start setting up the things to get the oil out. That's when Edom comes. Every time. They never do the work. That's the point. That's the curse. All right, that we're under. As long as we do not serve the Lord with joyfulness of heart, gladness of mind, all right, it's always about somebody more wicked coming along to prosper from the work we put in.
That's right.
That's the curse. It always has been, and it's going to continue to be until we break the cycle. All right, Lord's will. Now here in these last days, we can finally do that. All right. to where now that, like it says, he's going to turn it back on them, to where now Israel gets to benefit from the work of the heathen. Finally. All right. And then if you're done there with 51,
yes. All
I was gonna get 58 through 60.
Okay. If we're gonna do that, we might as well read through 63 as well.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Verse 58. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sicknesses, and of long continuance.
Right. All right. Even from that time where Esau first come over here, the certain sicknesses, illnesses, diseases, things we was dying from, all the way up to today. Notice that Israel gets some of the strangest, not heard of diseases that's, rare and 1 in a million cases all the time.
Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. Right? Like, for example, like what you were talking about, the diseases that took over the Native Americans mostly was smallpox and influenza.
Right.
But you also had several other, like typhus and gonorrhea and syphilis and all these other things as well.
Right. But also, like it's saying, moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt. All right, so going back to the boils and the certain sicknesses and things that we knew and it had a reputation from Egypt.
Right.
All right, all those. And then he says in the very next verse, and things not written, which is what you just went into. These new ones that we get now also.
Verse 62, and ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it.
Right.
And that's the story of what they say the Native Americans, right?
Exactly.
Because when you read the history and you actually look into it, disease did most of the work.
Right.
Esau just came in behind the disease, figured out what was going on, started killing people and spreading blankets and stuff to further it. But this is literally what happened. Disease came through, plucked the people off the land.
Yep. That's why they was able to focus a lot of their time, effort, energy, and strategy into the transatlantic railway. At the same time fighting us, because we was all dying anyway. So they can focus on doing this business, while at the same time, whatever we come in contact with across the way, like on Hell on Wheels, we'll deal with it then, But that, like you're saying, but that goes all the way back to the Canaanites, and the Lord's saying He's going to send the hornets and stuff to destroy the people before we come. When it says, "Blessed shall you be," or "Cursed shall you be," that's everything. In all the ways that we know He has fought for us, is the exact same ways He fights against us when we fight against Him.
That's right. And the only power is of God.
Is of God.
When we realize that, it'll be a lot easier for us. It's better to be on the side of the power than against it.
Exactly.
Just do what He said to do. He will fight for us again. Because when it comes to so-called Native Americans, right? Because you have them who believe in the Creator, right? And either you have to say the Creator turned against us, or you have to say that your God is nothing, right? Because either He did not defend you, or He turned against us. So if He turned against us, it must be the God of this Bible, and we'll disobey what He said to do.
Right, because you can't say, like you're talking about, self-examination, being completely honest, because you're confounded. You're really trying to figure this thing out, all right? In order for you to say that, like you're saying, and they knew that we had a Creator, and Creator of all things, and Father of the earth.
That's right.
And, but you also got to do what? Take that accountability.
That's right.
To admit, yes, He turned against us. Why? Because we first turned against Him.
That's right. That's the agreement that we made with Him. We agreed to all this.
Right. And even when Joshua said, no, y'all don't realize what y'all are using your words to sign up for. Y'all can't do it. I'm telling y'all right now. And boy, was he right. Boy, was he right.
Yeah. Because Joshua, being a prophet in the spirit, he saw what was going to happen.
Exactly.
He's trying to warn the people, look, don't even do it, because you're going to get these curses on you.
Yes, you're bringing, let your yay be yay and nay nay, especially right now. That's basically what he was saying. All right, but no, 3 times we insisted, no, we will serve the Lord thy God, or the Lord God of Israel. All right. And keep his statutes and commandments and his judgments, to be a holy, peculiar people. We wanted that benefit. That's what it goes back to. We wanted the special treatment.
Yeah.
Especially seeing what he had just done for us coming out of Egypt.
Yeah, and what's so funny about that, because a covenant is a contract. It is an agreement. So it's kind of like, you know how Esau, of course, they do this in wickedness. They will show you all the benefits up front, and then they'll try to hide all the negative aspects of the contract.
Right.
God did not do that.
At all.
He gave us all the positives, and he specified all the negatives. He said, you better not turn against me, because all this is going to happen.
He even went in extreme detail on the cons. All right, he didn't spend much time on the pros. All right, because it engulfs everything in a few words.
Right.
All right, for the abundance of all things. Forever.
And plus, the people had already seen the pros where God delivered them out of Egypt. He said, look, y'all seen my power for you. You don't want to see my power against you.
Exactly. Exactly. Because while he wasn't even making himself known at all, just think about the position we was in. Being oppressed, ruled over in slavery. We had no chance, is what I'm saying. Then the Lord shows up and shows his power, and even to the point of Egypt and their armies chasing after us, and the Lord fucking kill them all in the sea. He literally showed that he will kill entire armies for us. Literally showed us that. All right, but they didn't fully grasp, you know, the part of, well, you get bored and you get tired of living a certain way and doing a certain thing.
You meet somebody new, they live a different lifestyle. You want to check that out.
Exactly, things that are new, different, curious. You know, curiosity killed the cat, and the Lord was trying to keep us from being that cat.
Right.
All right, but still,
the wandering of concupiscence undermined the simple mind.
Exactly, and you know, turning things naughty that was innocent.
Right. That's right.
All right, but from there we can get Psalms 55, what I got wrote down. I ain't got a verse specified, but
yeah, I got you. Starting with I guess 19. No, 20.
Let's see here. 55.
Unless you want the context, we can start both in the context.
It don't matter.
Okay. Well, I'll get to the point in verse 20.
Oh no, you can read. Let's see, what was you going to read before that?
I guess 11 for the context. We can jump down.
Yeah.
About wickedness.
Yeah.
Or 15 rather. I like 15. Psalm 55 and verse 15. Let death seize upon them, and let them go down quick into hell. For wickedness is in their dwellings and among them. Right. So the context is about the wicked and wickedness.
Right. And yeah, 11 is a banger, being the last part of it.
Yeah. Oh, I'll read that too.
Yeah.
Wickedness is in the midst thereof. Deceit and guile depart not from her streets.
Right.
So.
There's you can't be from the streets, live in the streets, run the streets, all right, or just you know, be outside in America without coming in full contact with deceit and guile, straight up and down.
So the context is about wickedness and the wicked. So I'm gonna jump down to verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
Right.
He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
Right.
His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Right. All right. It sounded great. The peace, the treaty, live side by side in harmony. Love thy neighbor as thyself. It was sounding so good, so biblical when they first come and made the deals, persuaded us to agree to the covenants. All right. But what the Lord's revealing right here, all right, their words are smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. He was always planning on killing us and taking what we had. Point blank period. And still to this day, if they could get rid of killing every single Israelite, they would do it. It's God that keeps them from doing that.
That's right.
Because that's their answer for everything. They'll kill them. Like, they ain't acting right. They won't say what you want them to say. They won't do what you want them to do. They won't let you have what's theirs. Kill them. Don't you know that if they could have, long ago they would have wiped us out. That's why it says the Lord changed not. That's why we're still here.
That's right.
Alright.
Verse 22, cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He
Right.
shall never suffer the righteous to be moved.
Right. Alright. Cast thy burden upon the Lord. That's whatever you feel like you're dealing with. Alright, whatever you're having to go through, whatever temptation you continue to fall to, whatever sin, whatever commandment's hard to keep, or just life sucks because you ain't been trying to study the Word and keep the laws and get close to the Lord so He can bless you. Alright? Cast thy burden upon the Lord and trust Him in every single way. All you got to do is what He said. Just read your Bible and try to do it, and then let Him take care of everything else.
Verse 23, but thou, O God, shalt bring them down into the pit of destruction. Bloody and deceitful men shall not live out half their days, but I will trust in thee.
Right. They ain't even going to get to enjoy it, the half of it. Alright, just like it says, when they think to have the spoil thereof, that's when sudden death and destruction shall come.
That's right.
Alright? And just like the whole thing going down in Gaza. And don't you know, even if they get it built up the way that they're envisioning to establish the vision, that's like it says, they ain't even gonna get to live out half their days.
That's right.
It's gonna be bombed so quick,
Man.
wiped off the face of the earth so quick.
And when Christ touched down, you read this in Zechariah, when he touched down, he's going to split the Mount of Olives. So that's just going to disrupt everything over
Exactly. Everything over there. Done for. Alright. But, let's see. This is SD16. I want to finish on a good note. Finish on a good note. Finish on a good note.
And what you looking at?
I was about to see what it's saying in Esther 16, 5 through 7.
Esther 16. Yeah, so this is talking about Haman, his wife.
And what they did.
Yeah, Haman, what he did.
Yep.
But the Jews are righteous.
Right, and also, you know, how, like it's saying, starting with 5, oftentimes also fair speaks of those that put in trust to manage their friends' affairs. Like, every one of them got Jewish lawyers and stuff.
Yeah,
anyway, we ain't going. But from there, we're going to go into, let's read 21 through, right here in 2nd Ezra 16. Mainly talking about Haman coming after Israel and what the Lord did about their plots against us and their vision against His chosen.
Right. So you said Esther 16 and what, verse 20?
21.
21. For all my, this is Esther in the Apocrypha, the rest of Esther, 16 and verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
For Almighty God had turned to joy unto them the day wherein the chosen people should have perished.
Right, where it was going to be the day we all died. All right, that's what Haman and his constituents, his friends, family, whatever you want to call it, those around him, was conspiring to bring to pass on a certain day. Okay? And that day, instead, was turned into a joyful day. Now, today, that's Purim.
Yeah.
All right, and it's a holy day that we celebrate.
And, you know, out of context, it's not a coincidence that this year, and for the past couple years, right after Thanksgiving, you know, what the national holiday, U.S. celebrates the genocide of Native Americans, right after we get Hanukkah.
Exactly.
Which is about the rededication of God's temple.
And the Feast of Dedication. And
Right.
especially today, with us being, like it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, We are the temple of God today.
That's right.
So the Feast of Dedication is about rededicating ourselves to Him.
That's right.
And, you know, getting a week to celebrate that process, and, you know, a week to try to do that every year. All praises for it. All right.
Verse 22.
Yeah, I was gonna have you read it out.
Okay, I guess. You shall therefore among your solemn feasts keep it a high day with all feasting, that both now and hereafter there may be safety to us and the well-affected Persians, but to those which do conspire against us, a memorial of destruction.
Right, all right, and still to this day, reading Psalms 83, there is a large confederacy that conspire against us daily. All right, like we read about in Micah chapter 2, verse 1, woe to them that devise iniquity upon their beds to work evil at night. All right, same ones.
Therefore every city and country whatsoever which shall not do according to these things shall be destroyed without mercy with fire and sword, and shall be made not only unpassable for men, but also most hateful to wild beasts and foul forever.
Right. All right. Those who aren't keeping this solemn feast day, all right, and celebrating this thing, and like it's saying that both now and hereafter there may be safety to us and the well-affected Persians. All right. It was Persians during that time. Today it's a mixed multitude. Whoever will cleave unto Israel and try to help Israel. All right. That is a memorial for us about those who conspire against us, who pray and plot on our downfall. All right, instead of being like an example, being Rahab, helping out, you know. This wouldn't happen to be Artaxerxes and the Persians during the time of Esther and Mordecai. All right, but from here we can get the benediction. Ain't that what's going?
Yes. Yes, that's what's going.
And close out.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll get several scripts on the Feast of Dedication next on your live, but also you know, next Sabbath we'll go into it. It starts next Sabbath, don't it? At
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just letting people know Hanukkah starts next Sabbath.
Right.
And so we'll talk about that when we come together on the Sabbath next week.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. We'll go in depth and the history on that and such.
So Luke 7, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Luke 7, starting verse 36. And one of the Pharisees desired him that he would eat with him, and he went into the Pharisee's house and sat down to meat. And behold, a woman in the city which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment, and stood at his feet behind him, weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spake within himself, saying, This man, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that toucheth him, for she is a sinner. And Jesus answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And he saith, Master, say on. There was a certain creditor which had two debtors. The one ought 500 pence, and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me therefore, which of them will love him most? Simon answered and said, I suppose that he to whom he forgave most. And he said unto him, Thou hast rightly judged. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, Seest thou this woman? I entered into thy house. Thou gave me no water for my feet, but she hath washed my feet with tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gave me no kiss, but this woman, since the time I came in, hath not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou did not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore, I say unto thee, her sins which are many are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little.
Right.
And he said unto her, Thy sins are forgiven. And they that sat at meat with him began to say within themselves, Who is this that forgiveth sins also? And he said to the woman, Thy faith hath saved thee. Go in peace.
Right. The disciples start saying, Is Christ tripping? Is he tripping a little bit, thinking he's actually God or something?
Forgive sins.
Right.
Matthew 26 and 13. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman hath done be told for a memorial of her.
Right. And all praises for it, and for her anointing Christ the way she did, and using her body to do so, you know, when it's going into our temple and dedicating it, using it for the Lord and everything.
Right. In Mark 14, it specifically says she done what she could.
Exactly. Exactly. That goes back to the parable of the woman that gave 2 mites.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
And yeah, all praise for that. Lord's will, we all get good out of this and grow from it. And with that, Israel, we say happy Sabbath, shalom, and let God be magnified.
Shalom, Israel. Let God be magnified. And happy Sabbath.